to call this meeting to order. Welcome everybody to the Thursday night Vision Masters Toastmasters meeting. And I want to definitely welcome not only our members, but our guests, G. Augustine, Barbara, Denise, DeMarie Shai King, who has definitely volunteered to actively participate in this meeting tonight, Katrina, Cassandra. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to put on another hat real quickly here as the club president. And since I welcome all, I will take on a partial role of grammarian and offer the word of the day. The word of the day is reflective. And since I only momentarily assumed this role to pass this word on as word of the day, I'm going to ask your indulgence while we get the definitive definition here. Reflective, it's an adjective capable of reflecting. However, our definition is characterized by deep thought. So our definition for reflective is something characterized by deep thought. And I'm sure from the comments we'll be having during the meeting, that will definitely be evidence. Reflective. I will now call to the virtual lectern our Toastmaster for the day, Dr. Wade Cartwright.
Good evening, all. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Loud and clear.
So we will proceed with our meeting. I'm on my cell phone, and this is my first experience with the cell phone. So let's see what happens. So onward with the meeting, not having any guests who don't know how Toastmasters works. I'll skip the introduction and go right to our general evaluator, who will introduce his team. So since we don't have a general evaluator.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yes, yes, we do. Did DeMarie, okay. Carry on, present your team.
Yes. So I will be working tonight with a team of functionaries, the first of which is our timer. And Mr. Timer, would you please explain, or Madam Timer, what your role is going to be, please?
I'll be a timer for tonight. I believe we have, so far I can see 2 speakers. The first speaker, 2, yes? 3? Okay, I didn't see him. Okay. The first speaker is on the agenda, 13 to 15 minutes. Am I right? 13 minutes green, 14 minutes yellow, and 15 minutes red. I will show, and you have 30 seconds. And I believe question and answer another 6 to 8 minutes. 6 minutes for green, 7 yellow, and red is means 8 minutes. So the second and the third speaker 5 to 7 minutes. 5 green, 6 yellow, and red means 7 minutes, and you have 30 seconds. And the evaluators, you have 2 to 3 minutes. 2 minutes green, I'll show you, and 2 minutes green, 2.5 minutes yellow, and 3 minutes means red, and still you have 30 seconds to be qualified and wrap up your evaluation. From table topics, 1 to 2 minutes. 1 minute means green, 1.5 minutes yellow, and 2 minutes means red. And if you are a new person, don't stop before you see green. And when you see red, try to conclude your speeches as a table topic participants. And later on, I'm gonna give a report. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator.
So for the timer, I did not see anything that you did. Is it possible you can raise your mechanical hand down on the bottom where it says reactions? If you raise your hand, we'll put you up in the left-hand corner of the screen and we can all see you and the colors, please. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Our first speaker, Carrie, would it be helpful if the timer had the color as background, or would it be more helpful if they actually verbalize the color for the time?
Oh, the color background is fine, and I also have my backup timers here, so.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
You're welcome.
So can the timer please raise their mechanical or digital hand? If you go to reactions on the bottom of the.
My computer is slow. I'm trying to do that. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Because I did not see anything that you were saying, so
Yeah, I can see.
that works. Thank you.
Okay,
I
we
see you now, and it's West, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And in the absence of a grammarian, that role will not be fulfilled tonight. You have your word of the day, reflective. So let's try and use that as many times as we reflect on what we're doing in the course of this meeting. So we'll use that word as many times as possible. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Well, thank you for saying that. And now let's move on to our first speaker, who is going to be Carrie is our first speaker, and our evaluator is Cassandra. Can you hear me,
Yes.
everybody?
Yes, we can. And if it's helpful for you, Dr. Wade, I can read the introduction for Kelly since you're working from your phone.
Thank you. Please do.
I have for the introduction of our first speaker, Toastmaster International's The Better Speaker Series is being presented by Carrie Kelly this evening. This series provides new speaking techniques and facts that can help develop one's own communication skills. The section of the pathways, Know Your Audience, addresses the importance of researching and understanding the people who will be listening to your speech so that you, as speaker, might best serve their needs as well as your own. Carrie Kelly is the Amazon International best-selling author of Living Resiliently. Carrie is also the author of Black, Blind, and Female, and a contributing author to the best-selling ebook, Village Pearls, Spiritual Practices to Uplift Your Soul, and the #1 Amazon bestseller, Heal Thyself. She is also the creator, producer, and performer of her one-woman shows, quote, Somebody Else's Child, unquote, quote, 3 Chairs, unquote, and, quote, From Garbage to Gold, unquote. Carrie has presented to and entertained audiences and VIPs at sold-out events all around Northern California. She is the subject and star of the documentary Gifted Messenger. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you for that. And without further ado, we will have Carrie with her speech. Take it away, Carrie.
Thank you so much. Knowing your audience addresses the importance of researching and understanding the people that will be listening to your speech so that you may best serve their needs as well as your own. This is the sentence that I will use to make my points. I would like to invite you to imagine a message that gets delivered to the wrong address. When this happens, valuable information is lost and precious time has been wasted. I am a child abuse prevention advocate. So if I don't deliver my message to the right address, the time and energy and information that will help keep children safe is lost. This is not acceptable. So it is very, very important for me to know my audience. As a child abuse prevention advocate, I find that I share my story with people that are doing the work of abuse prevention by sharing with people that work for the Department of Children and Family Services, or CPS, Child Protective Services, in Silicon Valley or Santa Clara County, California. In my role as I share my story with these social workers, it's important that I emphasize the fact that they don't get caught up in all of the bureaucracy, paperwork, rules, and regulations, because they have the final say. They have a large part to when it comes to keeping children safe. The safety of where they place that child is primarily up to them. So as I share my story of miraculous survival, I emphasize the point for them to keep the safety of the child in the forefront of their work. That's how I share when I'm sharing with the audience that is familiar with the work of keeping children safe. When I am sharing my story with a Toastmasters audience, the emphasis might be on something completely different. Sharing my story with a Toastmasters audience is absolutely rewarding because I never know who's in that audience. Tonight, I am focused on the knowledge of the audience that is listening to my speech. So, when I share my story, it's important for me to be very clear and to be inspirational so that I can inspire people to join me in the protection of children. One of the experiences that I have had as a Toastmaster is sharing my story and finding out that I actually inspired someone to take actions to actually take some action to keep a child safe. I have had people share these stories with me. Excuse me. I have also had people in Toastmasters meetings find the courage to share their own story of miraculous survival on their own. It has been a very rewarding experience for me to do the work of child abuse prevention and advocacy. So, as a speaker, as a Toastmaster, it is very important for you to know your audience, to do the research, to understand the audience that is listening to your speech, because you will never know when your speech has inspired someone to do something to make this world a better place. Also, I am so grateful to be able to share this story with you today. And I hope that I can inspire you to join me as I keep the forefront of the safety of children in mind. Thank you for listening to me, and I not only do I know my audience, I believe that when I'm done sharing, that my audience knows me. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Dr. Wade, I'm not seeing you present. You have been our Toastmaster. I can sub for the moment. I had my hand raised to offer a comment and ask a question, Carrie, since we have a question and
yes.
answer period.
Please do.
The comment that I wanted to make was, in your opening comments, I very much appreciated the comment you made about, have you ever thought in terms of a message being delivered to the wrong address? That was very good symbolism. I like that analogy there in terms of it makes one think, is this going to the right audience? Is this going to be delivered not only appropriately, but to the right people at the right time? I thought that was a very good way to begin your speech. And it offered us an opportunity to consider not only the content, but the quality of what you were delivering to us. So that was my comment. Thank you very much.
Sure. Okay, good. Anyone else?
D. Marie Shy King.
Thank you, Kawaza. My background is almost the same color as my raised hand, so it's hard to see that it's raised. Thank you for that. Carrie, my question is, if someone wants to be an advocate for child protection or child abuse, is there a number that we can call, or is there some place that you could refer us that we would be able to get information about becoming an advocate?
Yes, the phone number is very simple. It's 1-800, the number 4, a child. If you spell that out on your phone, that will put you in touch with a reporting agency, and you can make your report and people will take some action right away.
Thank you for that. And based on what I know about the 800 numbers, and I'm saying that because of my advocacy for domestic violence, your call to that number is kept in absolute strictest confidence. It's anonymous. You don't have to give your name or anything like that. Is that correct?
Right, absolutely. You can make your report without identifying yourself, who you are. However, I will say that as much information as you can give about the incident that you are reporting, that will help expedite that child getting the help they need. Because when you, if you're too vague, it's hard for them to take action.
Terry, this is Cassandra.
Hi.
Can you tell us a little bit about when did you make that switch and say, you know what, I'm going to decide I'm going to be an advocate for the children? When did you decide inside of you that burning desire, instead of getting angry, you decided, I'm going to switch this up and I am no longer going to be angry, but I am going to be an advocate for these children?
Well, honestly, it was because I was angry that I wanted to be a child abuse prevention advocate. In my experience, there were a lot of people who could have spoken up and they didn't. And so when I was going through the trauma and I saw that, I didn't understand that. So when I got older and started asking questions, I got a lot of hand wringing, foot shifting, excuse making about all the reasons why they didn't, you know, do anything to help keep me safe. And so as that is unacceptable to me, I figured that since I have the experience and I know what it's like, I am going to do anything and everything I can to inspire people to join me to keep children safe. It was because I was angry. I'm not all that sure that I'm not still angry, if you want to know the whole truth. Every time I hear a story about people who stood idly by while children were being hurt, for example, these coaches, these people in power, Larry Nasser, that gymnastics coach, people were complaining about him 20 years before he could ever got caught. Those are the things that really light me up and make me want to inspire people to speak up and say something and not just sit idly by and allow the abuser to continue to get away with it.
Thank you for the answer. Any more questions for Carrie?
Just a comment that I acknowledge you for your bravery and compassion in dealing with such a very emotionally triggering population. I'm a former crisis intervention counselor. I had to deal with child abuse calls.
Yep.
And I'm laughing because that's my humor. But
I
there
know.
was one where I had a call and I just went and I slammed doors after the call because I was so angry. And even with my own family and discovering what I've learned is generational abuse, the enablers are still out there.
Yep.
And the victim shaming is real.
Yes, it is.
So, you know, I'll be hunting you down when this is over. But I just wanted to acknowledge everything that you're doing and just wanted to validate you for what you're doing and just continue spreading your message and your experiences. Because
Thank you
you're making a difference. Like you said, even here, you're making a difference. Everywhere you go, everywhere you speak, you're making a difference.
Thank you so much. I want to tell you, one of the things that I just got to do with the Department of Children and Family Services is I met with the executive team and I put in my request to get the social workers some support for dealing with that kind of trauma that you were talking about, taking those calls. Because one of my experiences, my social worker placed me even though she did not like the family she was placing me in. And I'm feeling like if she would have had more resources and more support around her, I could have been placed in a different family. There's also a lot of burnout with the social workers. They don't stay in the job long because of all the trauma that they deal with. And I'm thinking that because this work is so valuable and so needed, the social workers need to get more support from executives and leadership.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was a
Yeah.
crisis intervention counselor for 6 years and I stopped right after the Long Island Railroad shooting. I couldn't, I hit a point of burnout where there was no return for me. So that burnout's real and I admire you and I acknowledge you for providing resources that weren't provided years ago.
Yeah. And the other thing that I'd like to shed light on, having been a case manager for over 15 years in mental health as a psychiatric registered nurse, this child abuse spills over into domestic violence because what you have is a completely dysfunctional family and everybody is suffering. Everybody in that family is suffering. And when you talk about the burnout of the social workers, not only that, their salary, they have such a caseload. They are just bombarded with cases, and it's just hard for them to actually professionally and efficiently carry out their job. And who suffers? The child suffers. The child suffers. Thank you so much, Karen.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That was excellent, excellent Q&A, Carrie. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Actually, we still have one person with their hand still up. Katrina has had her hand up for a
Oh,
while.
Okay.
yeah, I did, Carrie. I just want to say thank you for sharing your story. And I wanted to ask you, how do you take what you do and provide yourself with the care that is needed in order to deal with all of the trauma stories that you get? Because I know when I was working with folks that were going through financial crisis, I didn't realize that it had took a toll on me. And so now there's a lot of emphasis on self-care so that you can, do what you love to do and not get burnt out like so many of us who are in service positions do. There's
Right.
more emphasis and more training now. How do you what do you do in order to keep yourself healthy, mentally,
Yeah.
physically,
Okay.
spiritually?
One of the things is, I don't know if you can relate to this, but actually sharing my story is cathartic for me because I know that when I'm doing it, there's got to be somebody out there that needs to hear it. The second thing I do, I'm a gospel singer. And so like, I get these requests for me to sing for programs and different things. I have one coming up this Saturday, and gospel singing is one of those things that has to come from, like, I call it from the toes to the hair follicles. You gotta sing that in a big voice. And so I take that and I just sing my big voice and let it all out. And it's an emotional release. And the last thing is writing. Writing those books, writing that one woman show, those are also cathartic. So it does, that writing does a lot of work. While I'm getting it out and getting it out on paper, or I'm out there performing it, it's getting it out of my system, but it's also sharing it so that whoever needs it gets to have it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think, is my time up? I had 8 minutes to do the Q&A, but I don't see the time.
Yes, the time is up.
Okay.
Thank you
Excellent.
very much for the speech as well as the Q&A. Appreciate everybody's participation. We do have a minute here, and I encourage everyone to send comment or question to Carrie via the chat. And while we do that, I'm just going to say hello to a couple of folks who joined us recently. Hello again, Hank, and hello, Mario. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Thank you. Welcome. Dr. Wade, are you ready to do the Toastmaster honors again? You are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
I'm back. This phone is out of control, but I will carry on as long as I can.
Okay.
But since we do have Hank with us, let's go on with his speech. Who's evaluating Hank? I don't have my menu.
Okay. Well, the evaluator for Hank is Mike Pruitt.
Mike, can you give us Hank's objectives, Mike?
Okay. So I want to introduce Hank, our next speaker. He is a nephew of Dr. Wade Cartwright, and he is, oh, let's see, he is a registered ICU nurse in Detroit, Michigan. His interests include working out and trying new ice cream flavors. Ooh, I like that hobby. I think I want to try that. I want to take that one up. Today will be his second speech with Visionmasters Toastmasters Club. It's from the Pathway Team Collaboration and Level 1, Writing a Speech with a Purpose, Tales from an ICU Nurse. Hank Cartwright, Tales from an ICU Nurse during COVID.
So take it away, Hank.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I don't see you on the screen.
Let's see. Can you see me or can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we see you.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Hank Cartwright, and I'm going to talk about some of my experiences as an ICU nurse during the COVID pandemic in 2020. During the pandemic, we all saw numbers were rising while supplies in hospitals, including masks and PPE, ran out. I learned that we can accomplish a lot when we communicate and work together. And I also learned that helping others helps me and others to maintain a healthy perspective regarding life's challenges. Seeing people in very dire situations can help us all to keep things in perspective. I'm sure many of you still remember some of the things that we did to try to stay safe during COVID. In addition to wearing the masks and social distancing, many of us were also wiping down groceries and perhaps, if you're like me, spraying packages on the front porch before bringing them in the house, spraying them with disinfectant. And maybe singing the happy birthday song to yourself while washing your hands to make sure that you wash your hands long enough. But in hospitals, we were watching COVID numbers rise around the world and the country, and in ICU, and it certainly felt like I was watching floodwaters slowly creeping in and starting to rise, at first maybe ankle deep, then knee deep, then waist deep, then chin deep. And so it was definitely almost a surreal situation, and something I'll never forget. Since ICUs are considered usually the last stop in the progression of a disease, people usually come in the emergency department and then go to the regular floor, and then if they continue to decline, they end up in the ICU. But so initially the COVID patients were I saw them really hit the emergency department hard, and then they hit the regular floor, and then eventually they hit everywhere. And everyone had to work together and do the best we can with very limited supplies to try to keep things together. I remember when first seeing that the hearing about this new disease, this COVID-19, emerging in China, and then I remember seeing reports in Italy, and then eventually we had our first case in Washington State in a nursing home, and then eventually we started seeing cases in the Detroit area where I live, and then eventually I remember hearing about the first case that appeared in my hospital, and then eventually the first case that appeared in my unit, in my ICU. And my ICU was planned to be the third one to to receive COVID patients. And so at first, I was, I kind of held on to hope that maybe, this situation would stabilize. I don't know if anyone really expected things to get to get to the point that it did, and the numbers to rise as high as they did. And so at first I thought that it's possible that I might not, get, a lot of COVID patients. And especially since I live with my mother, who was 76 at the time, I definitely wanted to minimize my exposure. But eventually I arrived, and then during report, we were told that we had our first COVID patients, and so that night I called my mother, and I let her know that we had our first COVID patients, and we were exposed. We should just assume that we were all exposed to COVID, and that we should take appropriate precautions. And so I let her know that I was going to be wearing a mask and isolating myself indefinitely. And once I got home, and some nurses moved into a hotel and found other accommodations indefinitely while during this pandemic. Then once it was announced that a lot of non-essential businesses were closed down, and the whole city was pretty much shut down, it felt like I was in a sci-fi movie. I don't know if you remember the one with Will Smith, where he was the last man in the world. I remember driving during rush hour to work. I worked at night, and I was the only car on the road, when normally rush hour roads are packed. And I remember arriving at the ICU, and before things really got crazy, and just hearing having things relatively under control in my unit, but hearing on the overhead system, night after, pretty much every hour, anesthesia stat with intubation, room 4132, anesthesia stat with intubation, room 5428, and over all night long. And I knew that these patients were getting intubated and were being hooked up to ventilators, and they had to go to an ICU bed somewhere. So I knew things were about to change. And at the same time, there was a shortage of masks and a shortage of PPE, and so we had to start recycling our masks. And eventually, a few days later, our unit was half full with COVID patients, and then after that, a few days after that, we were completely full. So with some of the sickest patients I've seen in a long time. Now, one interesting thing that I noticed was that the way it changed our perspective, when when you're used to just seeing patients, every patient on your unit is one of the sickest you've ever seen, and once in a while you'll get an ICU patient who is not having severe COVID symptoms. So we were also a trauma ICU, so I remember a patient who fell off his motorcycle going 45 miles per hour with the broken, two broken legs, the broken arms, and a fractured spine. And I remember hearing in report that he was not having he was breathing normally with no severe COVID symptoms. And I remember thinking, oh, that's being relieved for him. And it's not every day that having broken bone, two broken legs, broken back, and broken arms is a reason to be relieved. But when that patient is next door to a patient who is really declining fast on a ventilator, it helps me to be thankful that I'm still healthy. And so sometimes I remember another patient with a brain tumor who was she had a brain tumor and awaiting brain surgery, but she was breathing okay. So that was reason to be thankful. Overall, this the pandemic was very. I have a lot more that I could say, but I remember that I definitely but would say that we had to work together and communicate with each other to get through this. And also this really helped me to be thankful and to keep, my own and challenges in perspective. And that's all. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Well, thank you, Hank, for sharing your experiences and your observations with us. Everyone, let's take about 60 seconds and give Hank a little message about, give him a little feedback about his speech in chat. And timer, let us know when 60 seconds is up.
I will. I'm timing.
Thank you.
So should I start? Henry, I really enjoyed your speech. You really validated that this was a pandemic, it is a pandemic, and that the threat is real. And I acknowledge you for continuing to serve day in, day out. I can only imagine what it was like hearing code red and everything else going on throughout the hospital. So I acknowledge your strength and courage in taking care of those who needed you.
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
It was difficult for everyone, but yeah, not everyone got to see what was happening in the hospital. So yeah, it didn't really occur to me until recently because I'm surrounded by people who went through the same thing I did.
Right. Well, thank you.
Okay, that's, I think that's our 60 seconds. Do we have another speaker, or should we go on with our table topics?
You do have another speaker scheduled on the agenda.
Yes, we have.
And I am he.
Our president.
Not to wait, I'm the third speaker.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, let me introduce you. Kwaza Emera is one of the founding members of this club. I believe in 2011, there were about 7 founding members, and Kwaza has given time and energy and compassion to this club throughout. He has represented this club in area contests, and he continues to lead this. So we'll give him a round of applause for that. But right now we're going to put him to the task and hear his speech. His I'm sorry, I don't have his title, but Kwaza, can you help us with that?
I'll be glad to help you, Dr. Cartwright, so that the speaker doesn't have to speak until he gives his speech.
Okay.
Kawaza is going to be speaking from Effective Coaching, Level 2, and Understanding Your Leadership Style. And the speech project title is Let's Work Together on This. Kawaza Emera, you have the floor.
Thank you for that introduction, DeMarie Shai King. Actually, the full title of my speech is Let's Work Together on This, or what do we need to do to go where we want to go and do what we want to do? Mr. Toastmaster, Vision Masters, Toastmasters, and guests. Welcome. Leaders are born. Leaders are not made. Correction, leaders are made, not born.
Thank you.
Actually, if we had a full discussion for the evening, we would see there's some interplay among those, how some are born and made. But I digress. Leaders are born, some of us have heard. Leaders are made, not born, some of us have heard. What is leadership? To sum it up in a succinct way, leadership is the ability to guide, direct, and motivate others to do a particular task or task. There are theories of leadership. Theories such as management theory, participative theory, the power theory of leadership, relationship theory of leadership, behavioral leadership theory. I tend to gravitate more toward a behavioral leadership theory since it focuses on how leaders behave and assumes that these traits can be copied by other leaders and those who one leads. I particularly like that in that as a person who sometimes fills in a leadership position, it is always my sense that I am helping others learn how to develop their own skills and talents so that they can become leaders in their own way and develop their skills to the maximum. The pathway that I'm talking on is talking about a leadership style. And a leadership style is basically just a method of providing direction, implementing plans, and motivating people. There are various leadership styles that range from what some describe as democratic to autocratic and laissez-faire. I started out my speech with those cliches and just a brief definition of leadership style. One, to just give you an idea of what has been and continues to be promulgated as how one becomes a leader or what is a leader. But I also wanted to put those out as examples of what I heard early in my growth and development and how that was part of my growth, development, and formulation as a person in leadership. I use these examples again because I think it's important that as persons who have particular skills, whether you are in formal leadership or informal leadership, it's important to recognize how we developed our skills, basically how we got to be where we are, so that we can better understand where we're going. An opportunity to be a little reflective on our skills and talents. For myself, when I took the pathways assessment to evaluate my leadership style, there were several styles that came up as far as what my leadership style was. One was innovative, a leader who shares a vision of the future and pursues excellence. This does mesh with how I see myself, as I do see being a leader, one who puts forth a vision of excellence and growth for those who are part of the team. This also involves encouraging innovative ideas. It means being able to be comfortable with what we call the stretch between what is, what's possible, and how we can all work to get there. Unfortunately, or practically speaking, there is a downside to being an innovative leader in that sometimes members of the team are not comfortable looking forward and being innovative, that sometimes people are very comfortable just doing things the way they are. So that can be a very much of a challenge for someone who's an innovative leader. That's one particular set of style that I have as a leader. One other part of my leadership style is democratic. Yes, I very much rely on consensus building. Definitely rely on involving as many members of the team as possible. Even encouraging sometimes members of the team to take a lead on a project to encourage their growth and skill development. This falls in with providing an opportunity for others by encouraging participation in what the team is doing. However, there's also aspect to this style of leadership that may not be seen as most effective because sometimes team members may not have the knowledge or expertise or desire to make quality contributions. These are a couple of facets of my leadership style that I wanted to share with you. There are others that I will share in the future. However, the important piece about sharing this particular style of leadership, in addition to knowing a little bit more about myself, is that hopefully I've offered an insight, a tip or two for each of you as you see yourself, whether in formal leadership now or in informal leadership, and how you can best be effective as part of a team. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, Kawaza. You are really a team leader, and I admire you for that. Do we have time for table topics?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay. Carry on. I will let you know how much.
Okay. Okay. You can allow me how many guests to take or members to take. You can tell me.
I think it'll
Point
be.
of order, Mr. Toastmaster, can I give at least 30 seconds to give him a quasi evaluation?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
Sure. I am also his evaluator. Please grant me 30 seconds. It will be an honor.
Shaquille, they're trying to give 30 seconds to
Okay.
give the evaluation for Kawami's speech, not Taylor.
Yeah, for evaluation.
Actually, Shaquille, this is for the general participants in the meeting to send me evaluation. Your time will come later.
Okay. As you, I was also prepared to give your evaluation as well.
Okay, thank you.
As you like.
30 seconds. Now you may proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. Shaquille, take it away. I think we have time for two participants.
Okay. Okay. May I start? Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
On a bright sunny day with sun pouring its heat at ICMA International, Microsoft Excel training was going on. The participants had zero or very little knowledge of Microsoft Excel. The trainer was talking to them regarding Microsoft Excel. Ladies and gentlemen, Microsoft Excel is a very advanced software, spreadsheet software with a lot of advanced functions like pivot table, macros, and VBA scripts to make financial models. Back at the end, two friends were talking participants to each other. Ali to John, what the hell is the trainer talking to us?
Excuse me,
Yes, you're right.
Shaquille.
I'm just building, inviting. I'm just inviting.
No, we don't have time for anything
Okay,
except
okay.
asking a question.
Okay, I have got 3 topics. Can you please,
They said
Mr.
you will need to do
President?
2. We can only
No,
do
no,
2
2.
topics.
I have
Yes.
3. I will invite 2 out of 3. Mr. President, can you please help me? Who raised the hand first? In seeing who raised the hand first?
Shaquille, why don't we invite one of our guests to speak, and let's go with Denise. You can ask your question to Denise.
Okay, okay.
Oh, hold on. Denise is shaking her head.
Said no. She said no, thank you.
You can nominate anyone, Mr. President. I can call him.
Would you like to volunteer to be willing to answer the question, the singular question that Shaquille would be asking you? Katrina?
Okay.
All right, Shaquille.
Yeah, I am along with it. Yeah, Katrina, our topic is know your audience in advance. It is of utmost importance. I have got 3 topics, 1, 2, 3. Can you please name me what number you will choose?
3.
Okay, I am opening the 3 and just showing with you. You have to talk what success is to a corporate gathering.
What?
You have to talk on success. What is success to a corporate gathering? Actually, the idea is that when you are attending any audience, your audience is a well-educated team working in the corporate sector. You have to talk on success. What is success to them? Over to you. What is success?
Shaquille, I'm going to interrupt here for a second. One, that is a pretty broad topic, and it kind of borders in terms.
Okay, I'm making it easy. Just talk on success to primary school.
Why don't we change the topic and choose one of your other topics?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Getting you can say in the going by the theme, knowing your audience in advance, you have to address school children. What is success in simple words?
Actually, what I was trying to suggest and will say is the topic of sexism, etc., may be just a bit out of bounds for us here in Toastmasters.
Okay. Can you please give me a hint? Can you give me a hint?
So here's a hint. How do you prepare for speaking to the audience when you have just been handed the topic? Oh, this is an emergency, and we want to talk to people on how to set up an emergency kit. You have never done this before. It is
okay, that's fine. Respected Toastmaster, are you hearing me?
Oh, we're hearing you. So
no, the one going to speak. I forgot the Katrina. Yeah.
Well, actually,
I hear you.
Okay, got it. You have got. We have got an emergency, and you have to just gather people to get some help for an emergency. Just how would you get that way?
Actually,
you have to get together people.
Actually, Shaquille, Katrina, in view that we have spent a bit of time setting up.
No,
the
no,
tabletop,
okay. Katrina,
in
okay,
view-
Katrina, just go on and speak on whatever you can say on knowing
Shaquille-
your audience.
So maybe
Shaquille, actually, we are going to not do the table topics. We have spent a bit of time setting up the table topics, and it is my suggestion to going back to the Toastmaster that this week we will not have the table topics.
But can I have one speech only, only one speech
No,
from any of my guests from Pakistan? Only one speech.
Shaquille, no.
Okay, that's fine.
We're turning it back over to the Toastmaster, who will now
Okay, sorry for that.
proceed with the meeting. Thank you.
So,
Okay, now it's time for our evaluations. Do we have a general evaluator in the house yet?
Yes, we do.
If
The general
if-
evaluator is DeMarie Shaking.
take it away, DeMarie.
You are muted there. DeMarie, you're still muted.
Okay,
There you are.
thank you so much. Yes. Oh my goodness. The first thing I will do is call on our evaluators so that we can hear the evaluations of the wonderful speeches that were given. And we need the evaluation for our first speaker. And
Cassandra.
that evaluator is Cassandra Garavedian. Would you please take the podium?
Oh, yes, for sure. Carrie, your speech was awesome. You came out with a question that I agree with Kwazi, that got us just thinking, reflecting on our own situation as far as have we sent out something that we weren't quite sure, did it get to the intended recipient? So you actually put me in the frame of mind going back to a time where I thought the same thing. So that was an excellent question to start the speech out. Then you proceeded to tell us about your situation, your story. And at that time, you captured us. We were all in. You told us about the story, your story. And you gave us examples. The material was very informative. You went through the material. Let me just go through, give us some examples. You went through the material. You told us about how you became an advocate. You reflected again upon how it just came about, not only about the counselors, but how they actually put you into the various homes and the treatment that you encountered. Now, what I'd like to say in regards to how you displayed that information, like I said, you were very sequential, you had it in an orderly fashion, but what I would like to have heard, what I would have liked for you to have done was to, that same energy that you displayed during Q&A, displayed it the same way during the speech, because you were much more relaxed during Q&A. I wanted you to display that same energy during the speech, because baby girl, you know that, and you know it. It's you, it's a part of you. So next time, do yourself a little stretch goal. Do that same, have that same energy during the presentation, but overall, great speech. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Cassandra, for that evaluation. And now we'd like to call on evaluator number 2, Mike Pruitt. You have the mic.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Hank, your assignment was from Pathways Team Collaboration, writing a speech with purpose. And the purpose of this project should be clearly defined. And I think you did that with your title, Tales from an ICU Nurse During COVID. I think your purpose was to give your audience some new information. We don't know what it was like being in the ICU during COVID. We heard numbers, we heard reports every day of how many people were dying, but we didn't know what it was like to be in there. And I think you did a great job of giving us a feel of what was going on. I like the way you started it about talking about floodwaters. It was kind of like the floodwaters were rising. First a case in Washington, and then they came to Detroit, and then it got so bad that when you had a patient who was a motorcycle accident victim with 2 broken arms and a broken leg and a broken back, you were relieved because they could breathe. And another patient who was there for brain surgery because of a brain tumor, again, they could breathe. So that really put things into perspective. And it made you thankful, then and helped you keep your own challenges in perspective. Now, there's some things that they recommend that we evaluate you on when we're doing an evaluation. One is clarity. I thought you were very clear. I would give you a 5 on that. Comfort level, you seem very comfortable with your subject. And interest, it was something I think that we all have an interest in. I would have one suggestion, if you do this again, is to put some numbers. I know we saw a lot of numbers in the paper every day, or the news every day, about how many people had died and how many people had been diagnosed with COVID. It would have been interesting to kind of hear some of the numbers so that we refresh our mind about that aspect of it. So I think you did a great job in reaching the purpose of this speech and giving us some new information and helping us to get to know you a little better. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that great evaluation, Mike. And now it's time for our 3rd evaluator, and that is Shaquille Shawaji.
Yeah,
and
I'm here.
He will be evaluating the 3rd speaker, who was Kawaza. You have the mic for 3 minutes, and you will watch the timer up in the right, up in the left-hand corner. Up in the top, at the top of the screen, in the corner where the hand is raised, you'll see the colors, green, yellow, and red. Can you see the green color?
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
When that green comes up, then it'll be yellow, and then when the red comes up, it'll be time to stop, okay? So you have the mic. You have the mic now to evaluate Kawaza.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
What a beautiful speech that captured the audience attention. It's always really, really good. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, and Toastmaster Huaza Imara, honorable president of our club as well. Well, it's really, really good when you incorporate humor in your speech. But when you start, it's just like icing on the cake. Just like you did, leaders are born, not made. I'm sorry, leaders are made, not born. Well, this debate goes on and on and on. The ones who want to improve believe leaders are made. The ones who don't want to improve believe leaders are born. Well, coming to your beautiful speech regarding your leadership styles, your purpose of the speech was to identify your primary leadership style. And you very, very beautifully not only told us your beautiful style, but also taught us what leadership is. Well, I would like to highlight 3 key areas of your speech. One is use of humor. You are perfect at it. Next is use of clarity of words. And use of number 3, use of examples. At the end, I would like to give you a challenge also. Yeah, when you started with humor, it was really, really good. Whoever was sleeping in the audience just woke up. Well, it's something new. What is leadership? Then coming on to the clarity, you just got us from zero. What is leadership? Ability or guide to model something, to start a new thing. Well, you told us management theories, participative power relationship. Most importantly, you highlighted the behavioral one, because in behavioral one, we have the room to improve. Yeah, then coming on to the leadership styles regarding your clarity of words, we got it. There are clearly 2 styles of leadership. One is democratic, the other is autocratic. The democratic style is the one we should all strive for and go forward to it. You also let us know regarding the formal leadership and informal leadership. In fact, it is the opportunity for the reflection to the society. Well, coming up regarding the use of examples. When you relate your personal story in any speech, it really means a lot. It's multiple, it's 10 times more powerful. You told us your real story when you were just choosing the pathways. You got to know that you have to be a visionary leader. You are, in fact, a visionary leader, and you pursue excellence. You love innovative ideas. Really, just doing the things the way they are, it's not the way to go. You told us you should strive for out-of-the-box thinking. You have been democratic, and it's been really helpful for you in your leadership roles at the clubs, as you have been VP Education and Membership and Sergeant-in-Arms as well earlier. Well, your desire to make qualitative contribution to the society and the club is also there. At the end, I would like to challenge you that you can use some vocal variety when you are giving a quote. Leaders are born, not made. Leaders are made, not born. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Wow, that concludes our evaluations of our 3 speakers. And what an evaluation session we've had.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda would be for me to call on my functionary, and I only had a timer at this moment. So with the timer, please give your report, please.
Thank you, Madam GE. We had 3 speakers. Unfortunately, 3 of them are unqualified. They are not qualified. Our first speaker supposed to be 13 to 15 minutes. She spoke for 5 minutes and 50 seconds. And the question and the answer supposed to be 6 to 8 minutes. And it went to 11 minutes. No, it went to 9 minutes. No, 11 minutes and 40 seconds. And our second speaker, Hans, 5 to 7 minutes. He went to 9 minutes and 5 seconds. Huaza, 8 minutes and 12 seconds. So I'm sorry. And evaluation, Cassandra, 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Mike, I apologize. I showed green card early enough. It was accident, but you went to 3 minutes and 3 seconds. And Shakil, 3 minutes, 19 seconds. Evaluation, everybody on time. That's my report, Madam GE.
Thank you so much for that report. And since we are pressed for time, I will simply give a modified version of the general evaluators report. But overall, the meeting tonight was absolutely jaw-dropping in so many ways, okay? We got started late because we were trying to fill the various roles, and that is understandable, but we made up time. But in the meantime, we were presented with 3 phenomenal speeches. Each person was reflecting on their passions, giving us something to really sink our teeth into. And it caused me to reflect in so many different areas, listening to the speakers. We were listening to advocacy, we were listening to leadership styles, and then Hank came alive because he talked about his profession. And anytime someone is passionate about their work, they can speak to it in a way that nobody else can. He came alive as he told us that. Then we went to our evaluations. The evaluations were on point, they were succinct. I was amazed, absolutely amazed, because they gave stretch goals for everyone, which was wonderful. I do want to caution us to understand that whatever the president says in a meeting is final. We may not agree with him, but his decision is final. There is no time to argue with him. What he says goes. We got to a point where, because of misunderstanding and evidently a misinterpretation of how table topics are supposed to be run, there was some difference of communication. It was handled and we moved on. It could have been something that disrupted the entire meeting, but we didn't allow that to happen. And then Shaquille actually came back and gave a jaw-dropping evaluation. So when someone is in their element, believe it or not, they perform. It has been an experience that I won't forget soon. I promise you that. So thank you so much for allowing me to be your guest general evaluator. We will strive to start on time. We will strive to fill the rows sooner than we were able to do. Thank you so much for having me. This has been an experience. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.
Well, thank you for your service there, and your summary was really on point. You have demonstrated to us how that should be done, and thank you for that. So having noticed that we are near 8 o'clock, let me turn the meeting back to our president, who will make announcements and in the meeting. Kwaza, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I'm aware of our time as well, but I would just like to say to all of our guests, thank you. I am acutely aware that we are so fortunate to have our guests from various points on the compass, on the global map, and I am appreciative that even though it's a little evening time here, it could be very late night or even early morning where you are in the world, and yet you take time out from your day to be with us to do this meeting. So thank you very much. I very much appreciate your presence, appreciate your comments, and I hope that, as pointed out by our general evaluator, we offered something during this meeting. There was something in each of the speeches that hopefully caused everyone to reflect on whether it's what am I doing and for advocacy, what am I doing for myself and honing my leadership skills, whether formal or informal, and recognizing this man talked about his passion. How can I talk about my passion? Hint, hint. In the future, we may want to hear from you about what your passion is, what fires you up to do what you do in the world. So I won't have opportunity to talk to each one of our guests and get your feedback, but I just want to say from our club, thank you all for participating, for coming. And I have one other announcement. A couple of weeks ago, we announced that Toastmasters is sunsetting several of the pathways as of January 1. Therefore, if you have not started a pathway, or if there is a pathway that you are considering and have not started, I strongly encourage you to go to the education area and get the pathway. They're only $20. That's not even the cost of coffee for a week. So you don't have to start the pathway right away. You can just purchase it, start it at a later time, but it's something you have that, believe me, you will treasure and value for enhancing your own skills professionally and personally.
And Kawazi, if it's someone who is a member and has not started a pathway at all, it's free. That first pathway will be free. Absolutely.
Thank you.
If you haven't already started it.
And if you are not a member and want to become a member, this is one club I strongly, heartily recommend. I can honestly say you will not find more heartfelt support and encouragement. So thank you everyone for participating, and we look forward to having you join us next week for our meeting. Have a great evening and a great weekend. And Shaquille, no harm, no foul.
Thanks a lot. Your words means a lot for me.
Thank you all.
All right, good
Okay,
evening.
Good evening. Here.
Good night, everybody.
Party.
Have a good one,
Salman,
Pakistan. Yeah, good
Sandra,
evening to you.
Denise.
Good morning,